What's up, everybody? Angel Ghost Girl here, and today's video is going to be a Haunted Reads. Right now, Haunted Reads is a video that I like to do. I read aloud, and what I do on here is I read to you paranormal content like magazines and like books and stuff like that. And right now we are reading I Am Haunted, Living Life Through the Dead by Zach Bagans. But those of you that don't know who Zach Bagans is, he's like one of the lead producers of the show, and the lead investigator of the show Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel. So check that out if you haven't. Pretty good show. If you're into the paranormal and paranormal investigating like shows, then you'd like that. Right now we are on chapter 28, page 205. This chapter is called Guest Investigators. Some are great, others are just distractions. The Ghost Adventures crew has been doing this job long enough now that we can literally collaborate our energies and connect without speaking. We can all sense when something paranormal is happening to someone else. We've been in many dire and scary situations, and we know that each of us is solid. We have each other's backs, but sometimes it's good to throw an unknown entity into the mix to see what happens. We got the idea to bring in guest investigators for a short period to give Ghost Adventures a different energy and offer the viewers a new outlook on the location. Sometimes the guest's energy adds to ours to improve the experience, but it isn't always harmonious. Some of the celebrity investigators we've had on the show were not the easiest people to work with in this field. You have to work with people you know and trust and who take the operation seriously. I like to work with people who are sensitive to paranormal energy or have some other sort of gift or value to bring to the table. The more I've grown in this field, the more I enjoy not having celebrity ghost investigators anymore, often than not. They're a distraction that throws off our energy. Either they've never done this sort of thing, or they think you have to put on a show for them and bring out unbelievable ghosts to entertain them. I don't need that kind of pressure when I investigate. However, I do have a couple of favorites among the guest investigators we've had on the show. UFC heavyweight contender Brandon Schrum I don't know if I said that right, is a genuine person whom I met during a pet rescue charity event at the Stanley Hotel outside of Denver. I've been a UFC fan for a long time, so it was great to meet him, and we became friends afterwards. We ended up returning to Denver months later to film an episode at the Peabody Whitehead Mansion, so I decided to bring Brandon along. Why? Simple. Professional fighters have a different mentality than most people. Normal people don't make their living fighting in a cage with another trained warrior, and they don't have the courage to stand their ground against dark entities. Going into the kinds of places we do and accomplishing the mission of gathering paranormal evidence requires a trained body, mind, and spirit. Paranormal investigation at a high level takes a lot of dedication and preparation. And guys like Brandon, I think I said that wrong the whole entire time. I think his name is Brendan, have the edge. I've also invited him along because I wanted to see how a modern day warrior would react when he came face to face with one of these evil spirits. What's interesting about the Peabody Whitehead Mansion is the urban legend that some sort of rape and murder occurred in the basement during a renovation of the property. There is no factual data to support this story, and we said on air that it was unvalidated, but several people around the area spoke about it as if it were real. Not all legends are fiction, so we left our minds open to the idea that it could have happened. Brendan came in full of smiles and great energy, so we took him down to the basement for a spirit box session. The spirit box is a conventional piece of not evidence, but equipment, but I believe in it. It scans AM and FM radio frequencies very rapidly, the same way a military radio frequency hops, so we can tap into the radio waves portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. A major belief in the paranormal field is that ghosts are made up of electromagnetic energy. If that's true, then it stands to reason that they would try to communicate through the electromagnetic audio spectrum, and the radio waves are in the electromagnetic spectrum. So if ghosts reside in the electromagnetic spectrum, then it makes sense to use radio waves to communicate with them, which is why the spirit box is so effective. Fun fact: electromagnetism is one of the 4 fundamental forces in the universe. The others are gravity, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. We remove the antennas from our spirit box to eliminate the possibility of radio interference or noise contamination. Critics seem to ignore that a lot. By doing so, we can let the device sweep with little to no chance of picking up any radio stations. The SB7 scans radio frequencies at such a high rate of speed it can cover the entire radio spectrum in less than 2 seconds. That is impossible to hear a coherent voice on the one single frequency. There's a slim probability that a single syllable could come through, but it's virtually impossible for the spirit box to pick up multiple words or phrases, and when the word or phrase that comes through is an intelligent answer to a direct question, you just can't chalk it up as radio interference. You can listen to nothing but white noise for hours with a spirit box without hearing a single blip of a DJ, music, or talk radio. Even in the biggest metropolitan areas and next to powerful radio towers. This creates a contamination-free audio forum for nearby spirits to be heard. Throughout the hundreds of investigations I've done, the rituals I've participated in, and the contacts I've made with the spirit world, the spirit box has been my favorite tool. I've put it through dozens of tests to prove to skeptics and myself that it legitimately captures spirit voices. I even hooked up 2 SB7 spirit boxes to 2 separate computer software programs so I could analyze the waveforms and then sweep a room at the Black Swan Inn. Both boxes were synchronized to sweep the same frequencies at the same time. Then I asked, what was the lady's daughter's name? The answer, Madison, came through one spirit box, which I could see on the waveform. Why is that significant? Because if it was a random radio wave, then both boxes would have caught it and it would have been visible on both waveforms. But since it was audible and visible on only one box, then the chances that it was a radio signal were exactly zero. Also, since it was the correct answer to the question I'd asked that indicated intelligence, and I believe it was a great piece of paranormal evidence. I also used this device in the Perryville battlefield house, where I got the first and last name of a silver whale seriously war soldier, a silver war soldier, which was validated by the museum director as a casualty of the battle. During a different investigation in Savannah, Georgia, we conducted a 90-minute spirit box session. Savannah is a large city with hundreds of radio stations, and during the entire hour and a half, we didn't get one single piece of contamination or paranormal evidence for that matter. If the spirit box was susceptible to outside interference, as skeptics say, they would have picked up anything during that session, but it was completely quiet. The bottom line is, it works and I believe in it. Now back to Brendan Schrum. We brought him into the basement of the mansion, turned on a spirit box, and started asking questions, but nothing was coming through. It was quiet. Then I asked, what happened to a girl down here? And suddenly everything changed. She was raped, a man's voice said, clear as any voice I've ever heard. I'd never seen a bad-ass heavyweight UFC fighter jump without his legs moving. It was like a cat sitting on a lodge that had a shoe thrown at it. After that, we got 4 more intelligent answers related to the rape that we shared with the Denver Police Department. They even gave us permission to excavate the property to search for bodies, but the jury is still out on that one. I am a paranormal investigator, not a paranormal excavator. To put a cherry on this Sunday, I asked the spirit what the name of the guy sitting next to me was, and a female clearly said Brendan. It was awesome. So the benefit of having guest investigators is that they bring a new energy to the room that spirits sometimes react to. Also, they're usually skeptics, so to see them react positively to an event helps our credibility and shows our openness to bringing in outsiders. We've never had anything to hide and never will. We are not magicians or frauds or snake oil salesmen. We're credible investigators and are open to bringing outsiders in to prove that. And Brendan was a valuable addition to our team because he prepared himself properly and acted professionally. That's not always the case, though. Some guest investigators are interesting. In 2012, we investigated Frank Sinatra's private suite at the Riviera Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, which is said to be haunted. Sinatra's parties were legendary, so we thought that if we threw a little party with musicians and women and even some Frank's old friends, it would awaken the spirits there, maybe even old Blue Eyes himself. So we invited someone Frank knew and partied with. Vince Neil, the lead singer of Motley Crue. That's what it was. We got a lot of bad press for Vince's appearance on the show because he was drinking during the investigation and showed up accompanied by several women. In his defense, it was meant to be this way. Sinatra was no teetotaler. He drank a lot, so we wanted to create an atmosphere that he would have been comfortable in. We needed a party atmosphere with booze, women, and rock stars. We even brought in his old piano player and had him play some of Frank's favorite songs. You have to remember that everyone thinks we should be a certain way as paranormal investigators. They're judgmental. Everyone has a preconceived notion of how we should act, both in front of the camera and behind it. But spirits are intelligent. They're like us, but without bodies. They don't live in the material world anymore. So if you wanted to hang out with Sinatra or the people he hung out with back in the day, then you would go barring around his place with a bunch of gadgets, or would you show up with the things he liked and act the way he did? Vince caught a lot of crap for drinking during the investigation and seeming drunk. Aaron, Nick, and I did not drink anything, nor have we ever had alcohol during an investigation. The alcohol factor was a challenge for me because things were happening that were beyond my control. We always strive to be professional and responsible, and I knew the episode might not come across that way. But when I asked what hotel we were in, a woman's voice on the spirit box said Riviera. We also capture visual anomalies and EMF spikes. So did it work? I think it did. But nothing prepared me for when I broke off from the party with Vince and his girlfriend Rain and went to a different floor of the hotel. At first we left Vince and Rain go off by themselves while we watched from the nerve center. While Vince was walking down the hallway, he was drawn to a particular room, and I remember thinking, wow, is Vince a sensitive? He lost his daughter at a young age, so maybe that emotional event made him more spiritual or more in tune with the spirit world. Whatever it was, something drew him to this particular room. A few moments before, we'd caught a chilling voice on the spirit box, so there was paranormal energy in the air. Vince Neil and I had a memorable experience with some ghosts at the Riviera. So this is a picture of them together. It's pretty cool. This book has some pictures in it. By this point, Vince was more focused than he'd been at the party, so I joined him and we went into the room that drew him in. As we entered, something went through both of us at the same time. It was like a spirit saw us coming in and decided to get out, but since we were in the doorway, it had gone through us as well. Or maybe it was a spirit rushing over to hug us, for all I know. I can tell you that it was powerful. After the internal rush, I was overcome by sadness, and Vince collapsed on the ground. A lot of people criticized Vince for that and said that he was drunk, but he absolutely was not. He was reacting to the spirit in the room, and I can verify that I felt it too. Moments later, Vincent complained that his left shoulder and arm were numb, which made me worry that he was having a heart attack. But my fears turned to amazement when I remembered that the coroner had told us several people had died of a heart attack on this floor of the hotel. So was Vincent feeling the residential energy from one of those heart attacks? Possibly. Either way, it was a great investigation, and he was a valuable guest whom I'm proud to have met. And that is it for this episode of Haunted Reads. So if you like videos like this, like and subscribe and comment in the comments below. Until next time, everybody, have sweet nightmares, or should I say sweet dreams, and tune all tonight and goodbye.